Okay, we'll do this rather quickly. In the beginning of the course, the lecture focused on different approaches to international organization. The disenchanted approach, if you read the supplemental reading from the book and what I've said, that is, don't have too many high expectations, because they're not perfect. International organizations play an important role in the world. A backlash. That's what the privatization of Bolivian water showed. Shrimp and turtle trade, but possibly over the environment. That becomes problematic. Point of injecting UNASUR. This is a regional organization that can help open policy space. European coal and steel community, as we talked about, integrating coal and steel, because that would make war more difficult for these states at the time. This showed the example of Argentina and Ghana, where Ghana was holding Argentinian warship. Smaller states followed international law and organizations. This I've been talking about a lot, how the United Nations basically collected the weapons during the Colombian peace process. There is no other large organizations that could do that. It did not stop the genocide in Rwanda. It was a failure. Sovereignty, compliance, and enforcement, that's the extent. You have to think the extent to which they have an effect. That is, they able to control global governance. During the girl behind there was aimed to show the regulatory aspect of the United Nations and not to end child labor because people were getting thrown into poverty. Conflict is endemic, obviously. This showed Cuba and Colombia in my article, and I talked about opening space to end Colombian civil war. Nuremberg trials proved to be instrumental to create the ICC. And why is the International Criminal Court under attack? Countries like the United States and Russia, don't forget, aren't a part of it. Open space to write different histories, which I went over. This is like the ICG ruling of Nicaragua and other ways. This is a positive aspect. And of course, the Nicaraguan International Criminal Court, which I talked about, open space to write Nicaragua's own history when it took the United States to court and won. The coup in Niger was a pivotal event in Africa. Countries failed to support democracy. It seems like we care more about allies than democracy. I don't buy into any of this whole we support democracy, all this stuff. That's what the US government wants you to think. Untrue. Despite problems with the WTO, it does allow weaker states, this is a more positive aspect, to challenge more positive ones. And then the lecture on the Central American Court of Justice. All of those are correct. And then discourse was brought up in the midterm. It was applied to Rwanda. Yeah, how do you define genocide? Very interesting, and we'll do the same for the final. Very exciting. We're going to have a final and a final paper. All the best, everyone.